Hello, and thanks for joining us for this special edition of the Back Rail podcast. Coming to you live, Fireside from Lamby Grill. I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Rob McQueen, a man whose voice is so pure that scientists from the CSIRO have done investigatory experiments to try and determine where it's actually come from. They've looked at his voice box and decided that the only way they can explain the origins of this beautiful voice is that he must be the result of an unholy coupling of being the love child of Ron Burgundy and John Laws. Hi, Junior.
How long have you been practicing that?
No, just
Pleasure to be here on a lovely afternoon by the fire, Lamby Grill. We've got some exotic birds in the background. Thanks again for tuning in, episode 3. Been a lot of fun so far. Great to be fireside with yourself.
And hopefully this one will upload to YouTube, so there'll be some visuals.
Bit of visual and audio, depends on what you're doing, driving, picking out stables, mowing the lawn.
Yep. Now, big news.
Yes.
We've got our first sponsor come on board. We've actually got a specialist drink sponsor.
Yes, and I believe this only happened earlier today.
Yeah, very breaking news.
Wow.
So thanks to Bruiser and Coco, who are come on board as our drink sponsor today.
Thank you, Bruiser and Coco.
It's only fitting that we go with the campaign.
Thanks again. First sponsor, 3 episodes in, not bad. Better than predicted.
It's quite good.
Beautiful.
So, start with some feedback.
Yes.
Brooksy, very regular contributor to the show.
Yep.
And
listens to all the episodes.
And she was caught us napping again when we were discussing horses where there was some sort of Australian connection. We missed Philip Steiner's horse, Casino Dior. That is now on the Dutch team. So one of the 5 horses for the Netherlands with Matisse Van Asten. So that was definitely one that we kept. We thought we had more covered.
Yes, yeah.
That actually, on some self-reflection, I also then realised that I missed a couple of riders where there's a human connection.
Okay.
One being Taizo Subitani, Ricky, Australian girl who was Jamie Coleman's groom at Sydney 2000. And then the other one, of course, the Swiss Martin Fuchs, who's with Simone Pierce and even Paris Martin. One day he'd seen he'd be dressed in Swiss gear, and the next day he'd have his Aussie gear on, going to dress up. So I guess, I've kept tabs on where there's a connection to the Aussie. Some people with the Australians might be interested.
Yep, and Simone obviously will be competing for Australia. Recently, see the photo of Martin in the Australian tracksuit.
Yeah. All right, so now you had some feedback.
Yes, I did. Had a message come through. Great to have let's just bring this up for our listeners and our viewers. Great to have messages in. This was a text coming in, Landon.
Yep.
This is Brett from Inverleigh, down in Victoria.
Right, yep.
Now, he was just mentioning that obviously this is 2026. We're about to go into, again, to Aachen, as we've talked about in the previous episodes. 20 years on since the last World Championships at Aachen in 2006. Now, he said 20 years on from where Jamie winning Kermon's husband competed for Australia. It was his first World Championships at the age of 21. He was on a board of Thoroughbred, which we'll get to a bit later, because that's the other part of the episode. But he just wanted to make us aware that we are 20 years on from when Jamie winning Kermon's husband, Jamie Kermon, competed at his first World Championships. Now, back in those days, Brett obviously knew him from a younger age in Victoria, and he said back in those days he was actually nicknamed the Wig, or Wiggy, because of his curly blonde hair. So thanks, Brett, for your message coming through.
Just remind me something else about Kern at that time.
Yes.
Before we went on site to Aachen, we were based at Axel Valois' place at Robindon. We stayed in a village nearby, Herrenfeld. And Kerman, obviously, only one horse to ride. He was still working as a farrier at that stage, so he was putting a bit of condition on. So I used to, halfway to the stables, each day I used to stop the car and get out and run. And he ever forgave me for that.
It's still running.
Yeah. So it's an interesting point of the fact that 20 years we're back to Aachen.
Mm.
So what were our riders in this year's team? What were they doing 20 years ago?
So again, where do you want to start?
Well, probably Weenie's is just one.
Let's start with either one. Yeah,
We know what she was doing 20 years ago. She was
running in the top. She was in the final four.
That's right. Yep.
Correct. So, and then let's jump to give me a wave here.
Jamie Winnie-Kermont.
Jamie Winnie-Kermont. Okay, so 2006, Jamie Winnick was competing in young rider events. Now, what I could find, she was riding a horse by the name of Yandu Barnaby, young rider success, places like Sydney Showdown Club, Sydney Royal, Easter shows, agricultural shows, which obviously were very big back in those days.
Yep.
But yeah, so she was competing young riders 2006 on a horse, Yandu Barnaby.
Okay. So then if we go to Tizer in 2006, looking some things up, that was about the time that Tizer decided to go and base herself in the USA.
Yes.
To really nut around and
correct
show jumping full time.
Yeah.
So again, a pivotal time for her.
Yep. So she just before moving over, she was competing here at World Cup.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
On a horse by the name of the Countryman. They won the Sydney Royal World Cup qualifier. Yeah. But again, diving a little bit deeper, for those that don't know, it's very interesting to find out Tizer Irwin was originally from Aberdeen in Scotland, so she was British born. Then, as a child of family, moved frequently because of her father's offshore engineering work. Yep. And she spent parts of her childhood in Norway, throughout Russia, including Moscow, and then later settled in Armidale, New South Wales. And then after, obviously, then, as you said, basing in the USA, where she was in Middleburg, Virginia.
Yep. So what do we go on Rowan?
Rowan. So, Rowan, also here in Australia, from a little town by the name of...
What is it? Basically,
further up the road, little town between, it's on the tip of my tongue. Okay. Northern New South Wales.
Yeah.
Then went on into England.
Yeah, so but in 2006,
yes, sorry,
in
yes.
the UK worked pretty well.
Chris, yes. Back to that.
Right.
2006 in England already working.
Yep. And then finally, Tom McDermott.
Tom McDermott, 2006. What was Tom McDermott doing in 2006? He won his first junior Australian championship in Sale, Victoria.
And then went on to win
multiple junior young rider, even at the same Australian championships, and then obviously now full-time senior Australian.
Right. Okay, so with Tom, that's probably an interesting lead-in. This week we had the announcement of who will be representing Australia at the Youth Olympics this year.
Yes.
So Tom was our first ever competitor at the Youth Olympics. Now, with a bit of grey area, we've discussed this. There was an event called the Youth Olympics that was run at Sire.
Yes.
That a number of people competed in, but it doesn't list on the FEI website as a Youth Olympics. So it must have been some sort of precursor event to what has become known as Youth Olympics.
Right. So for those, again, that don't know, part of our thing with this podcast on the back rail is to educate and inform, for those that aren't aware, how the Youth Olympics has been run since that time in 2010, as we spoke when Tom first came through that program, and he represented Australia where?
In Singapore.
And that was the first Youth Olympics.
That was the first one. Yeah. And Tom finished 8th individually. 9th was Martin Phillips. So
in 2010.
Yeah. So I'm sure Tom would be happy if he could finish one place higher than the World Championships this year.
Now, you told me earlier off air, the Youth Olympics, since it started in 2010, the only question sport discipline is show jumping. And it's on borrowed horses.
Yeah, always on borrowed horses. Okay. So we've had Singapore in 2010, Nanjing in China in 2014. That's where Jake Hunter.
Yep.
2018, Buenos Aires, Matty Singleberry. DC, Dave Cameron was the chef. You won't get it. Then, so this one coming up this year is going to be in Dakar, Senegal, which is the westernmost point of Africa. Yeah. That was supposed to be in 2022. what I can gather with COVID and all those things, it got pushed back. So there wasn't a Youth Olympics. But in 2022, the FEI ran what they called the Youth Equestrian Games, which was like a standalone show jumping Youth Olympics. And that's where Malia won the gold. And so it brings us to Dakar, who was announced your neighbour.
Yes.
Who's representing Australia.
Yes, young Molly Mooney. Congratulations to Molly. Great, very exciting for her. Bit of a process, the selection for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, congratulations to Molly and wishing her obviously the best of luck. The trip over to represent Australia. I'm sure she'll do Australia very proud. But big news there on the.
You also were looking at other riders that have come through.
Yes, this is yeah. So you did brush on the year that Tom McDermott finished ninth, was it? Eight. Sorry.
Sorry, we should also mention
Martin was.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah.
That when Jake Hunter in 2014, he won the bronze medal in the big.
He's been competing in Europe and Ireland for a long time now. Yep. So yes, other tie-ins, could we say? We like that word. Right? For riders through that Youth Olympic program. So in 2010, this is a good one. I like this. 2010, Tom McDermott, Martin Fuchs, along with Bertram Allen for Ireland and Nicola Philipparts for Belgium, all of which are competing at this year's World Championships for their country. Cool. So they've all come through the Youth Olympic program. As we said, it's sort of gone back a bit. What were these riders doing for Australia during that time? And then what did they wanted to do, whether it would be a World Cup success here in Australia or Olympic Games?
Yeah. And then from the 2018 Youth Olympics, that's where we have Jack Whittaker.
Yes, and Harry Charles.
Right.
Both.
Okay, right.
Correct.
Okay. And the other one to come out of...
They've also come through that Youth Olympics.
The other one to come out of Youth Olympics was a UAE rider, Abdul Aziz Al Marzouki, who was the youngest rider in the Olympics. Finished 19th. Very nice horse. That horse, Joy de la Miller. Yeah, so he's another one. He's again riding for UAE this time.
Yes.
So it really is producing some, and like the same year, Maddie, as we said, Maddie Cinderbury, she's been dominating
World Cup
this year. Yeah. So it is proving to be a good stepping stone. Yep. Yeah.
That's really good. Really excited to look through that and do that, and you see all those riders. Why is that important? Well, they're all. Yeah, I'm glad you could see where I was going.
Yeah. No, good work.
I was going to say, and I know we brushed up on this on episode 1, but the amount of countries represented in this year's World Championships, 30.
No, 31 teams.
So 31 teams plus a couple of individuals.
Another 20 of individuals.
20 on it from their country.
Yeah, from other countries. So it's a massive thing. The other thing that I wanted to look at was, we're talking about 20 years ago. When we were going through the history of things, the 1960s, the 1990, there's a link, there's a really good time for the 1990 Australian League team and this character. So that team was Vicky Rocker. So we know from your research, Vicky at one stage had the ride on Gina. So
yes. Yep.
George Sano was in that team.
Yes.
So George was Venus coach.
Yep.
Coached him for a while, and then was involved in picking out Benty as a young horse.
Yes.
And Colin Brook.
Yep.
He was in that team. This is the
fourth one.
This is the kicker.
Just wait.
The fourth one. Susan Bond.
Yes.
Susan Bond's father, very well known, and one of his greatest achievements was his support of Australia's America's Cup Challenge. He was supporting Australia's next America's Cup Challenge.
I mean,
What are you winning?
our good, you are incredible. Our good friend Hamish McLaughlin hope is listening.
Oh,
No doubt.
I'm surprised
No,
I haven't had feedback.
I'm surprised we haven't had feedback, but there's a reason he named you the Tiling Bar.
No,
This is why.
Nice that. Okay. Let's have a drink.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, well done, Lamby.
So what else have we got this week?
Obviously, we're waiting on the announcement of the team,
I understand.
and also the young riders to represent Australia in terms of that.
That's right.
The under 21.
So there's some German national classes during league which are under 25.
Yes.
International ones are young riders, so 16.
Yep.
I understand there's a selective meeting on Monday night, so I presume that's when will be reserved.
Yep.
And all the definite entries are in now, so go online and look at those ones. And none of those horses have been spoken about. Mr. Bombastic.
Yep.
Chakalana.
Yep.
That was the finals. So there's a nice time. Yeah, I think that's for this week.
I think that's about it. Thanks again to our drink sponsor, Bruiser and Coca. Muchly appreciated. Again, hope you've enjoyed this week's episode, episode 3. Episode 4, we might dive into the format.
Yeah.
How it's going to look for those some 150 rounds on day 1, Table C class. We'll get more into that.
And during the week, I'll put up background socials, a spreadsheet with the times.
Okay.
I'll split that up. So there's the Australian Eastern Time, then there's also the South Australian Northern Territory, WA, and also
Yes.
So, it's got the time versions.
Well, I think we can call this safely down our official studio.
Yeah, I think, I'm happy.
What? Yeah. Like it was a bit of a drive.
Well,
Yeah, maybe. Great to be here. Thanks again.
all right. Thanks, everyone. That was a quick one, but I hope you got something from it. Cheers.
Thanks.